All right, everyone. Bernie Sanders may have fallen to fairly distant, I think, third place now. Warren is up at 20 in both new polls, and Bernie Sanders is in the mid-teens, I believe. I think it's a 16 and 17. I'll have to check because I'm doing a video today on poll analysis. But that doesn't mean that he's not continuing his fake populism shtick. He's pretending to be like a maverick, even though he's not. He's now a corporate candidate, just like everybody else in the DNC field. Other than some of the, Marianne Williamson maybe is the one aside, like Yang is a crybaby, and Tulsi Gabbard is just desperately anti-gun and has no chance. But you've got Bernie Sanders running sort of the same thing he did in 2016. He's like, well, power to the people, youth revolution, which is funny because he was already in his 70s at the time. But here he's a 77-year-old man who's running on a 2016 platform for 2020. He's no longer the only leftist in the field. In fact, he's by and large not even far left compared to some of the other people in the field. Like Kamala Harris is further left. Most of the lower level candidates are further left. So Bernie Sanders is no longer novel. What this has created is a situation where, because of a packed field and the lack of novelness in the Sanders campaign, he's no longer the darling of the left-wing media. So now he's pretending to go to war with the corporate media. He's like, well, we're going to take on this corporate media apparatus. We're going to take on these big billionaire media firms. And it's like so CNN and shit like that. The funny part is he may feel legitimately wronged in some ways because of the coronation of Hillary Clinton the last time around. We had emails, for example, DNC emails, where there was open coordination between the upper management of the Democratic Party and members of the Clinton campaign and groups like MSNBC, groups like CNN. We've got proof of this. It was in their emails. There was collusion going on. This should worry people, but people don't even fucking talk about it anymore. It should worry people that a major political party was openly coordinating for one of its candidates who hadn't even been nominated yet with the corporate media, but again, it escaped notice. They'd rather worry about some 5-person fucking radio show endorsing. They'd rather worry about how dangerous InfoWars could be. Oh my God, it's spooky. They talk to President Trump openly. Oh my God, it's so scary. Oh, the DNC emails, just fucking ignore those. Oh, WikiLeaks is Russian, basically. So Sanders has to pretend. He has to pretend now to be an enemy of the corporate media, but he's a corporate media darling anyway. It's just he's less of a darling than before. There aren't many negative articles about Bernie Sanders that come out of these groups. They don't want to spar with him, number one. They're not interested in having a fight with the crazy old man. Number two, the corporate media, by and large, wants the Democrats to retake the White House. They don't like Trump particularly. They dislike him because he's actually got some economic populism in mind. So what they're doing is they've stepped back and they're trying desperately not to attack any of the viable Democratic candidates. They'd rather run a piece about how Tulsi Gabbard backs Bashar al-Assad, so she's a Russian pawn, or how Marianne Williamson is scary and probably working with Putin or something. And they've done this before. They don't do this to the top-tier candidates. They've done nothing but say positive, nice things about people like especially Warren and Kamala Harris, because they don't want to get called sexist. The only one, in fact, at the top that they kind of criticize is Biden, for the most part. They say, well, he's boring, he's lackluster, essentially. He makes mistakes, which is all true. He's the gaffe master. This is Biden being Biden. He is his own sole enemy. Nobody else can stand up to him. We have one poll showing Sanders up in New Hampshire, which doesn't surprise me. It's a Gravis poll. Again, analyzed it the other day. Careful of single polls, especially Gravis or Rasmussen, in all honesty. And then we've got, Warren arguably in the upper teens at this point. She's viable. She's definitely risen up. I question whether she can maintain that particular level. I question whether, she's one bad debate performance away from being another Kamala, so I see her as the Ted Cruz of the current field, with Biden as the Trump of the current field. And there is a never Biden contingency within the Democratic Party. I question whether after the next debate in the first few states, as the lower end of the race thins out, as the bottom half of the Dem candidates start dropping like flies, At that point, I wonder whether Biden, it doesn't become an inevitable shoo-in simply by absorbing, most of that support. He doesn't need it all, but he needs, some or most of it. He just needs to buoy his numbers and stay 5 to 10 points ahead of his nearest challenger, which he's done consistently even when he wasn't a candidate officially. When I look at the Sanders campaign, the idea that Sanders is at odds with the messaging of CNN or MSNBC or groups like that, and that he's some sort of maverick, is hilarious. He's not a maverick. The sort of things that he expressed in 2016 that were seen as odd by the Democratic Party have now become accepted by them as centrism. They look at Bernie Sanders as a moderate now. He's a socialist. They look at his messaging, yes, universal health care, felon voting, decriminalizing border crossings is not on his particular agenda, but mass amnesty is. So that makes him a moderate. The Democrats think you're a moderate now if you just want to grant blanket amnesty to everyone who's already in the country, let alone building a wall or defending the border or something. You've got Warren openly calling now for decriminalizing illegal crossings into the United States, a power that doesn't, by the way, even exist at the executive level. She's fucking completely insane. Elizabeth Warren is completely fucking insane. If you put her up against Trump, I guarantee she doesn't win. At this point, she has poisoned her own campaign by far leftism, the likes of which she can't comprehend. She can't go back to the center. Well, that's a real big fucking problem now, isn't it? Biden's basically the only viable candidate who can, and Buttigieg, arguably, but he's stalled out. He's stuck at 4 or 5%, and arguably falling slowly over time. Kamala Harris is now nowhere to be seen. Bernie Sanders remains viable. He's up at roughly Warren levels, but it looks like he's on his way down. It looks like Sanders and Warren, they're top tier candidates. They're not going to drop out until late in this race under any circumstances. They can continue campaigning well after Super Tuesday with the money they've already got. The problem is, as long as both of them are in the field, Biden wins. That's what I think. And Bernie Sanders is trying to angle himself to be a maverick. He's trying to out-maverick Elizabeth Warren. People keep talking about, I think Cenk Uygur brought this up, among others. Oh, you're going to see a Warren-Sanders dream ticket. So a ticket of two old far-left individuals who both have significant problems with baggage. Sanders has a Me Too problem that the Democrats themselves created to try to stop him. Elizabeth Warren has a race problem. That's not a dream ticket. Only in the feeble minds of a far leftist would that be a dream ticket. It's a dream ticket for Trump. It's a dream ticket for if you want Trump to be reelected. It's not a dream ticket for winning in 2020. It's funny to see Bernie Sanders. Okay, so now you want to start a war with the legacy media. One that you don't need, and it's like, I'm sure it blindsided them. They're like, what the fuck are you even talking about, old man? We've been rooting for you since the beginning. CNN, it'd be funny to see them come out with a slew of hit pieces and knock him down a peg. Those who live by the sword die by the sword. Those who live by the shifty, dubious bullshit of the corporate media, keep in mind you got to keep those. You don't bite the hand that feeds you too much, Bernie. They'll Me Too you, like they tried to do before at the DNC level when the race had just barely begun and you were the only big name in the fucking race. I think Elizabeth Warren was the only other main name in fairly early. She got in before Biden, I think. Biden got in last of almost anybody, and now you have like de Blasio and these other losers jumping into the race. They keep talking about, maybe we should drop out. Yeah, you should. The whole bottom half of the field shouldn't fucking exist. There's no reason there should be 20 people. There's no reason you should split the debates up. CNN and all these groups should have just said, okay, the top 10 candidates get to debate. The rest of you, I don't know what you're talking about. You're below 1%. You're not even viable. What the fuck are you even doing here? If you're below Cory Booker or Beto O'Rourke at this point, there's no reason for you to even exist in the race. Should be a much thinner field. Basically, it's a clown car election. We thought the Republicans were packed in 2016. My goodness. We never thought that we'd see a race with this many goofballs and also-rans in it. That's about all. Peace out.